Welcome to another video and welcome to my February wrap up. So I have a bit of a confession to make. I've been lying to you throughout this month in all of my vlogs. I've been saying how I'm in a reading slump. Judging by the sheer piles of books around me, I have not been in a reading slump. I've been in a fantasy slump, true, but not a reading slump. In fact, I feel like my fantasy slump has actually boosted my reading. So let's just get into it, shall we? I'm going to start off with my stats. So this month I read 16 books and I had one DNF. There's a total of 6,160 pages, which honestly, like, what even? Genres. According to Storygraph, I read 6 romances, 6 fantasies and 6 contemporaries. According to me, I read 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I can see the 6 fantasies. 1, 2, 3. I'd only say 4 romances. Maybe 5 thrillers. My genres are slightly different to Storygraph genres because I feel like they rank a book with multiple genres, whereas I just give a book one genre. But even so, romance, fantasy, contemporary were the heavy hitters this month. And then star ratings, I had an average rating of 4.02 stars. Amazing. And my star ratings ranged from a 2-star. I had one book that was 2-star because it had one DNF, 2 3.5 stars, 1 3.75. I'm not entirely sure what that is. I think it's a 3.5 or 4. It might be counted as a 4. 7 4-stars, 1 4.5 star and 3 5 stars. So I'm not going to go through my thoughts on every single book because, like I said, there's 16 here in front of me. That's quite a lot to get through. But I'm going to tell you my star ratings for all of them, and if I feel like I need to give you some thoughts on any of them, I will. I'm going to start off with the book that I DNF'd. This month, I finally decided that I was going to DNF the Wheel of Time series, so I DNF'd book 7, Crown of Storms? Don't actually remember what it's called, but I DNF'd it anyway. It's up here. I felt like at this point with this series, I was halfway through book 7, which is literally the midpoint of the series, and I was just like, I don't care about any of these characters. I don't care where this plot goes. I don't really care about anything to do with this whole series. So, as well as being at this point in a fantasy slump, DNF'd, bye, done. But let's start off with the books that I read this month. So before I get to the other books I read, there are 2 books that I read for work that I do want to talk about very, very quickly. I don't rate books that I read for work on my channel, just purely because I have been paid to work on these ones, so it's not a fair evaluation, I guess, because I've been paid to talk about them. But I read The Wrong Sister by Claire Douglas. This is a domestic thriller, comes out in March, comes out, I believe it's the 14th of March this one comes out. This one follows 2 sisters who kind of do like a little life swap with each other. One of the sisters back in the UK, there is an attack and her husband ends up dead. And then the other sister, whose house she was in, gets a note saying it should have been you. This one was so full of twists. It was dark. It was gripping. If you like domestic thrillers, pick this one up. Then the other one that I read was The Revenge of Rita Marsh by Nilesha Chauvet. This one comes out in July. This one has got so many content warnings I can't even begin to list them. So again, because I read this one here for work, I, as well, like myself and someone else on my team, read this one to identify content warnings. We have a 3-page document of content warnings for this book, so be wary going into this one. Main content warnings for this one, just as like really to be aware of, paedophilia, sexual assault, and I'd say child abuse, murder. There's a lot. There is a lot. This one basically follows Rita Marsh, who by day works in a care home. By night, she poses as a young girl online to track down paedophiles. It gets so dark, so just like, I want to say twisted, but it's gruesome. It is just, it is at times almost hard to read because of the incredibly heavy subject matter and the way that it is handled. It is handled incredibly well, in my opinion. But yeah, if you like a really dark thriller, give this one a go. Okay, moving on to the rest of the books. I'm going to start at the top with my 5 stars. So started off this month really well. First book that I read, and I've got a read and vlog for this one, I'll pop it up here, was House of Flame and Shadow by Sarah J. Maas. So again, because I have got a full read and vlog, I'm not going to go into this one, but I did end up giving this one 5 stars. I and ahed on it, and I did change my rating and actually upped my rating to 5 stars. Originally it kind of was like a 4.5, 4.75, and then I was like, no, actually I did enjoy it. So it's got a 5 stars. This is by no means a perfect book, but I ended up giving it 5 stars. Like I said, I'm not going to talk about it because I've got a whole vlog on it. That one was, to be honest, the start of the reading slump, but I do want to just mention the other 2 5 stars that I had as well, which were Mr. Wrong Number by Lynn Painter. Again, I've got a vlog for this one. I was reading this one as part of the Literature Readathon. I love Lynn Painter. I think her books are incredible. I love her characters, and I was absolutely obsessed with this one. And then the other one, The Last Passenger by Will Dean. Honestly, this book blew me away. I had like visceral tension. Like I was getting stomach cramps because of the tension in this book. I honestly, like just I have no words. It was incredible. It went places that I was not expecting. There were twists that I was not expecting. So many twists. I don't think I saw a single one of the twists come in. So this one, again, is a slightly, from my own reading experience, was a slightly odd one because my company Tandem had worked on this one last year, and my friend Lex had done like a whole presentation on the campaign that she ran for this book. So I knew what was happening. I'd been spoiled for the book going in, but even with that knowledge, 5 stars, blew me away, did not see twists come in. Absolutely incredible, and I now want to read more by Will Dean. Amazing. We're going to go to the other end of the scale now, and we're going to go with my lowest rated book of the month, which is my only 2-star, God Killer by Hannah Kaner. I just had zero interest in this book, and to be honest, the only reason I finished reading it is because it's 300 pages. I think it's slightly less than 300 pages, and I was like, well, I may as well just finish reading this book. I got to about 50 pages before the end, and I voice noted my friends saying I wanted, actually wasn't even that far, I think it was maybe 30 pages from the end, and I voice noted my friend saying I'm thinking of DNFing. Something's just happened and I cannot deal with this. And they were like, what happened to make you want to DNF a book 30 pages from the end? And I was just like, I won't tell you what the thing was, but something happened, and I was just like, this is just so irrelevant to the storyline. This does not add anything. I don't care about these characters. I don't see any of these relationships as legitimate. Like I'm being told that the characters feel this certain way. I don't see it. This felt painfully YA in a way that like YA in 2012, or like, for example, Cassandra Clare feels painfully YA. You know, it's so angsty, but yet the characters are all 20 plus, they're all adults. I don't believe this is marketed as a YA. It's Harper Voyager, so it's not, it's an adult. And I just did not get on with this one. Unfortunately, this one will now be, it's very, very beautiful Illumicrate edition, will now be leaving my collection. Going back to the good end, we're going to go with my only 4.5 star, which was Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. Again, this is in the literature reading vlog that I will link up here. I really enjoyed this one. I thought this was brilliant. I really loved the characters. Something that I really enjoyed about this one is that our female character was older, so she was 37, which for me as a 35, I think, year old, I'm enjoying reading romances where our female characters are slightly older. I don't believe that everybody meets the love of their life at 21 and is married, pregnant and happily ever after within 6 months. So I quite liked seeing their relationship, seeing that she was slightly older. She'd done the whole marriage situation and things hadn't worked out. So I liked that. I really enjoyed this one. The reason it didn't get a 5 star is there was a weird kind of almost fantasy magic element. Not enough for me to call it a plot line or a storyline or really impacting the story. But it was just the way, there was just a few little bits that I was like, this is just weird and I don't like it. As an example, an oak tree dropped hundreds of acorns on top of someone that was being mean about like the main love interest guy, about Daniel, and it's like, what? That I just was like, I'm just not on board with. 3.5, so I had 2 books that came in at 3.5 this month. So we had How We Fell Apart. Again, this one's part of a vlog, I won't talk about it too much. This one is a dark academia. I did really like it. I thought it was very, very reminiscent of One of Us is Lying. I liked it a lot. Again, it's not going to be something I'm going to reread. It's dark academia, kind of thriller. I liked it. It was fine. It was fun. And also Secretly Yours by Tessa Bailey. Again, this one is in my literature reading vlog. I did enjoy this one. It is not my favourite Tessa Bailey. In fact, it's my least favourite Tessa Bailey because I've rated everything else I've read from her like 4 or 5 stars, and this one got a 3.5. I like the characters. I just didn't 100% believe in them and their romance. I also wasn't the biggest fan of Julian. I felt he was a bit possessive and unkind, and I didn't quite see the attraction in him. But 3.5 star, I enjoyed it. Next up, I'm going to run through all of my 4 stars of the month. So, beginning of the month, I read Starling House. Again, I've got a vlog for this one. I will link it up here. I was surprised that I liked this one as much as I did. This one has all of the terms, the phrases that I generally don't enjoy in a fantasy. So it has lyrical prose, it's slow paced, it's more vibes than plot. I don't like any of those things, so I was very surprised that this one came out as a 4 star, but I did enjoy this one. Next, the book that was the start of my fantasy slump, Artemis Fowl and the Arctic Incident. Actually, that's not fair. This one was not putting me in a slump. But again, I'll tag the vlog up here. But for Polathon, I decided to start 5 different books over a week and finish over the weekend the ones that I enjoyed most. Reading those 5 different fantasy books, one a day, just took it out of me. Also, they were all polar fantasies. They were all slow paced. I was struggling with all of them. I finished off Artemis Fowl. I do really enjoy Artemis Fowl. I think that these are really fun, fast-paced middle grades. But yeah, that week was tough. My next 4 stars were the first 2 books in the Trials of Apollo series. Again, got a reading vlog for these ones. So The Hidden Oracle and The Dark Prophecy. So far, this is, I would say, probably my least favourite Percy Jackson series. But again, they've both got 4 stars. I'm enjoying them. Heroes of Olympus, I think, is an absolutely incredible Percy Jackson series. That's my favourite. They were all 5 stars across the board. These ones, I don't really like Apollo. And I know why I don't like Apollo. I don't like his personality, but also I understand why his personality is the way that it is. So I can admire Rick Riordan's writing with Apollo, but I just dislike him as a character. I did like this one slightly more because we've got back in some of our favourite characters from, or my favourite characters from Heroes of Olympus. So Leo is involved. I absolutely love Leo. So yeah, first 2 books in Trials of Apollo. Both were 4 stars. Then again, another vlog I'll link up here. My Wrapped Up Got Me Everything Everything by Nicola Yoon. This book just blew me away with how much I loved it. Like, I laughed, I cried. I really, really genuinely enjoyed this book. I'm so happy that I unwrapped it eventually. Watch the vlog. I cheated a bit. Because I don't think that this is one that I would have picked up by myself. I'm not convinced it's one that I'm going to keep. I feel like this is a book that now I've read it, I've enjoyed it, I've loved it, I want to pass it on. And like I said, I gave this one 4 stars. I did really, really enjoy it. And for me, passing a book on to somebody else doesn't mean that I dislike it. I only have a limited amount of space. Not every single... The books that I keep, that I have read, have to be ones that I think there was a chance I'm going to read again, if I'm totally honest. But I was absolutely obsessed with this one and I really recommend it. Next, again, there's another vlog for this one and I'll pop it up there. It's Secret Sunshine Project by Benjamin Dean, another middle grade. Really liked this one. I loved the celebration of Pride, the education around Pride, and I thought this one had a really solid plot line aside from Pride, because I felt like Secret Sunshine Project was all about getting to Pride, whereas this one, Pride was like your main plot line, but it had a really strong supporting plot as well, and I enjoyed it a lot. Finally, the last book of the month that I read. I stayed up to midnight to finish this for reasons best known to myself because I just wanted to get it in February, but that is Flawless by Elsie Silver. I really liked this. I am definitely going to read more in this series. I don't know how I feel about like the bull riding. I mean, like, I loved all the characters and I liked the kind of the cowboy romance in the sense of the kind of like the country, the farm life, but the bull riding I find a little bit icky. But that's just me and my own sentimentalities, to be totally honest. So did really enjoy this one. I loved the characters. I thought that they were really fun together. Yeah, 4 stars. So that is the 16 books. So these are the 16 books that I read in February. I'm going to put them down. They are heavy. This month, like I said, was a bit of a roller coaster. I got into a fantasy slump. I read some fantastic books that I think might be new favourites and top books of the year. I also read some books that were incredibly disappointing. And I do still feel like I am in a bit of a fantasy slump. I am going to be not reading very much fantasy probably for this month, and then I think I'm going to try and introduce fantasy back into my life in April. But let me know if you have read any of the books that I mentioned. Do you agree with my ratings and thoughts and reviews, or do you think I'm just a bit of Lulu? If you like this video, please leave me a like, subscribe down below, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!